And good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Another show of Mackmyra Life. Welcome. It's Gareth Bell here. I'm joined tonight by my two colleagues. It says Gareth Bell in the corner here. We've got John sitting over this way. Hello, John.
Hi there.
And Richard down there.
Hello.
Hi, Richard. Welcome. Richard is a fellow brand ambassador. And John runs our web shop and got all that kind of responsibility in Europe and everything, John. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly that. It's good to be here. I've done a few of these, but not as many as you guys have. So always good to turn up with these.
Richard, we'll take it easy on him tonight, I think. Today we thought we'd do a little bit of an introspective, a bit of a look back, actually, over 2020. It's been quite a remarkable year for a lot of reasons, and I'm sure it hasn't panned out the way a lot of us thought what was going to go on. So let's just wind the clock a little bit and do a bit of thinking about what's gone on and how it's kind of affected us. Richard, start of the year, what were you up to? What were your thoughts?
Start of the year, well, we started in February. Who'd have thought? We knew this, was bubbling around the world, but I think everyone's expectations were in different places. I know that mine was certainly set in very positive ways. When I joined the company, I thought I'd be out doing lots of festivals, meeting people. To say I was excited would be an understatement, and I only managed to get out on I think half a dozen real life jobs before madness kicked in. Yeah. We had Gareth, you and I were due to go over to Sweden to go and visit the distillery. We're unable to do that. Something we're still waiting to do. But it's actually, it's very different to how I thought it was going to pan out. But there's been some positives from it as well, we'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. I can mirror that from a personal BA point of view. We thought the job was going to be something, and it turned out to be something almost completely different. But John, from a brand and kind of perspective of the brand and where we were going, where were we at the beginning of the year? What were our kind of expectations looking forward?
Well, with the site and things, we were launching, kind of making a big push for the cask program. We did a tweet tasting back in February. I went over to the distillery. I did just manage to get in. About the 28th of January, I was there. We had the product launch of Grunt Tea coming out and everything else going on with that. So, we were just, business as normal, looking to increase things generally as we went. More festivals and shows, planning the year and everything. It definitely changed from where we expected it to go.
Well, as well as our thoughts about how things are going, we thought it might be useful on this show just to get somebody else's perspective slightly outside. And we've got a good friend of the brand, Joe Wadsack. And Joe Wadsack is a drinks consultant on BBC TV for many years, designs a lot of the top wine lists. And we invited Joe to come back to London for the first time since lockdown to his favourite restaurant, Randall and Aubin, and really reflect on how this year and COVID in particular has affected him, and in particular the way that we as brands reach out now to our customers and engage with our customers and tell them about our products. It's all changed. So I think if we've got the video ready, let's have a look at what Joe's got to say about the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Joe Wadsack, food and drinks consultant to the London drinks industry. Here in Randall and Aubin, Brewer Street in my beloved Soho. Since COVID-19, a lot has changed. You remember what it was like before COVID-19? It was my 50th birthday on the 13th of March, the day I got COVID-19. And then it was locked down the next Monday. And that's 6 months ago, 7 months ago. I'm back in the very spot I would have been then, but it's just not the same. Everyone's had to adapt. There is a new normal. The reason why I love this place so much, Randall and Aubin, is the number of people that come through here. In the time it takes you to have a soup and a plate of oysters, they turn tables twice. People are literally rubbing shoulders with each other. It's the small things you miss, like passing an oyster to someone down the table. You can't do that anymore. And this place was about the buzz. It's about the glitter ball. It's about people hugging. It's about people getting excited, maybe meeting the love of their life for the first time, going to a club down the road, experiencing London Soho, one of the coolest places in the world. Now it's YouTube and it's Netflix and it's waving over a camera, trying to express yourself down the phone. It's almost like we have to compensate. Everything's become hyper normal. When I'm doing TV now, I'm being much larger and much more gregarious than I used to be. Because you think at some point or other you're going to meet the person behind the camera. Now that's not necessarily the case. We're in a restaurant which has just lost a couple of tables, a couple of seats at each table. They put a few outside. They turn over 10 covers a day here. Every seat that goes is 10 fewer dinners that they sell. But they're the lucky ones. These guys are still alive. I've just walked through from Leicester Square Tube Station through the middle of Chinatown, and the smell of Chinese food just drove me crazy. I was like, suddenly had a craving for noodles. I went, Razor Siam. Oh no, that's gone. That's gone. Dumpling Legends. Oh, that's shut. Soho, man. I mean, this is something that you never thought would ever go away, and now we're in a place where things just feel a little bit closed, and it's quite scary. Do you remember March the 17th? I do. That was the day we all got told to stay indoors. I was in a pretty bad way. I'd already caught the disease from somebody just come over from Japan and Washington, 2 hotspots, only 3 days before. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew what COVID would look like. And we're watching the news, bated breath for hours at a time, watching people in government guess and get it largely wrong. Also, I remember that a week later, every single booking in my diary, everything I get paid to do had been cancelled. £25,000 up in smoke in a week. That was terrifying. But there's an upside. One thing I have discovered, and it's something that Mackmyra have been pioneers of, is doing things virtually on screen is actually the way to go. I don't want that to change. I don't want to have to get in a car and drive to Newcastle, stay overnight so I could do a wine tasting for somebody and drive back. I'm quite happy to get paid half the money and do it in an hour in my pajamas at home. And it's a fantastic medium. Send the stuff to people. They don't want to get dressed up. They don't want to go to a dinner party or a tasting event where they have to pay £30 in a taxi to get home. They want to be sitting on their armchair as well. It's a fantastic concept. Anyway, other things have changed. But really, in my job, my wife, together, we spend a lot of time together at home, looking across Wandsworth Common, going for walks. Nothing really changed in that sense. But you've got to think about all the people in my industry. Everyone starts somewhere, and usually it's in shops, wrapping bottles, giving it to people, connecting with people, using skills that now seem almost redundant. And in this business here, hi Bruno, in this industry, how can you run a restaurant without connecting physically and emotionally with people? He's the best I know at it, by the way. You're a Cyprus, all right. God, blimey. I haven't had an oyster since lockdown. Why not? Yeah, because I don't want to shuck him at home, and I couldn't come to a place like this. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to civilization. Do you remember when lockdown finished? July the 4th. And then suddenly we were thrust back out into a world that we didn't recognize. We were so used to having Zoom chats, looking at the news. Certainly in my friend set, we spent 3 months realizing how many lies we're taught on a daily basis on the news and how little of it's really true. Whether we're looking at Trump stuff, we're looking at UK stuff. We came out, I think, far more cynical than the way we came in. One thing that we've learned post-COVID, sitting at home, having to have business meetings through a screen, is we've learned to listen, I think. In the old days, you just tapped somebody on the shoulder until they got their attention. You just said what you wanted to say. And you didn't use your ears in the same proportion as you should with your mouth. There's 2 of those, there's 1 of these. And I think that coming out, looking at what brands have had to suffer by not being able to have physical, experiential time with their consumers and their brand ambassadors, call it what you will, but bartenders around the world are the people that really sell you the drink. how important is education? How important now, when we look at it, has that process been now that it's been taken away from us? And I think the one thing I do believe is that there are still avenues and channels through which we can enthuse people and get people excited. I've got more excited about whiskey because of lockdown, not despite it. I was invited to the Somerton Summer Whiskey Fair party, which was done online, an 11-hour show, where I learned more about whiskey in 11 hours than I'd really bothered to learn in the previous 5 years. That wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have gone to St Albans to that event, but because I was invited to do it from home and they sent me bottles of really fantastic whiskey, I'm now a whiskey fan again, which I can honestly say I wasn't in February. Whiskey is a very, very complex subject and it does need education, but you can't tell people what to drink. What you can do is give them an environment where it's so exciting that you can't help but want to learn and want to get to know more. Mackmyra is a good example of that. Mackmyra has so many different finishes. I like the fact that it's Swedish because I'm half Swedish. My father was German and my mother is Swedish. And I know how innovative and how fast things change in Sweden when something exciting happens. And it reminds me of all the things as a child. It reminds me of glögg, Swedish Christmas spiced red wine. It's like a glühwein. Lingonberries. Also, my particular favourite at the moment is the Calvados finish. I love Calvados as well. But when we look post-COVID, we've got to understand now that the main medium is televisual. It's going to be through lenses and screens. We should maybe talk. I think we got lazy and spoke to large groups. And now we're having to speak to groups of 6. That's fine. So I think the fewer people there are, the more they listen. And I think that it's just going to be a slower process. But I really feel that it'll be a much more loyal one afterwards, because the one-on-one thing is something you can't replace.
Well, yes, thanks to Joe for that. Some very interesting sort of background. I think it can reflect some of our own experience as well, but really interesting to hear from somebody else in the industry parallel to us who needs to keep in touch with his customers and keep them sort of informed of product, etc., and the particular challenges that he had. Going back to your favorite place, I'm sure out of lockdown, everybody remembers going back to their favorite pub, their favorite bar, somewhere to hang out. And it's a great feeling to be back there, but it's still not going to be quite the same, is it? Of course, John, you've been based in Italy. You were one of the early adopters, shall I say, of COVID. So
yeah, it's
at that time. What happened?
Yeah, we were about 4 or 5 weeks before the UK with everything, and I don't want to use the word, but it was the first place and the epicenter of it. When at that time, I just remember like around kind of March, I went out, and this was actually a shot I had, and I'm in a town of 50,000-60,000 people, and this was the main piazza.
Look at that.
And there wasn't a single person, and it was eerie. There was this great moment as well a couple of weeks later where people just started playing Italian opera out over the piazza, and it was just this eerie sound of some strange movie. But no, it's in some ways it was, I got to see where everything was going to go. And so Joe just mentioned there, like it was mid-March in the UK. We'd already been locked down for 2 weeks at that point. And so I saw how it was going to happen, and we'd been trialing this kind of technology beforehand. Some people joined us on a Twitter tasting we did. And we did that on the 12th of February just to see how the tech would go and everything. So it's something we kind of had lined up. The three of us, actually the same three, I forgot that. Yeah, we did a very quick test of our first kind of ones in there. No interesting backgrounds.
Our studio's sorted out now, haven't we?
Studios changed. Richard was in the kitchen, and we just proved that it worked. And from there, it's just kind of gone from strength to strength, really. It was.
Although people thought we were just off the block so quick, actually, we'd been cooking this for a while, hadn't we? It's been part of your plan since last year to pilot it all and put it through.
Yes, the example I always gave was my father-in-law is hugely into whiskey. He has a collection which, what Richard's got behind him looks kind of similar. He will never go to a festival. He doesn't have a job where he can go and do whiskey tastings in the evening because he tends to work on the road so much. But he will happily sit there in front of his computer, selection of whiskies, and perfectly sit there and enjoy this kind of thing. And that was exactly the people I was looking for. it just so happened a lot of people became those people all of a sudden. So yeah, it's been interesting times. I think you guys must be coming up to 100 of these that you've done now.
Yeah, it's getting closer. So Richard, I mean, we both had expectations of what we thought our job role was going to be. How did things change for us over the year? Oh, can't hear you, Richard. Are you there? Oh no, I think we've lost it. Oh,
there we go.
Yeah. There's a good example.
All this practice, yeah. There's 90 episodes of rehearsal in there.
Never any mistakes. Richard, you're on.
I was going to say, I have to learn some new things, technical stuff. Obviously, I don't know the right hold.
Going well,
yeah. So off 100 shows in, still learning some bits, apparently. Please forgive me, everyone watching. But learning presentation software, having to, sort of go back to the computer for a lot of things. I didn't think we'd be in front of a computer at all, apart from a few emails here and there, or sorting out a calendar. Home studios, we had to get our internet sorted out. So I think the first few shows I was on, my internet was just abysmal and needed sorting. We had to learn how to write scripts because we've needed, or at least structures for the shows that we have, so that we know what we need to talk about and the points we have to get across. Just sort of learning how to do that properly. And then presenting as well. Hopefully we do a half decent job now. I'd like to think, that I think we are better than when we began. But yeah, just learning lots of new things and having to adapt enormously. Yeah. I think I've been something of an armchair ambassador for the last 6 months or so, really. But what Joe was saying about it being some of the good things, the convenience that comes with virtual tastings and joining those. I'm a man who likes convenience, I will say. And the amount of tastings that I've taken part in, as well as hosted now, so there's been a lot of them, and I've enjoyed not having to go out. And as Joe said, spending £30 on a taxi or trying to, convince somebody to give me a lift home, I don't have to do that anymore. But there's probably more that I miss than the good that's come. But there is plenty of good to focus on as well for me. And so hopefully other people.
And we got all the skills change, and then boom, we just went crazy with shows after show after show. We've got we did a load of shows, and I think we've got some of the promotions and some of the early things we used to do. Just have a quick look back at some of the singular things we used to do on these shows. Have you got that tape ready to roll, Connor? Yeah, and Wednesday night is the show. So that was a quick on of a lot of the stuff that we did for show after show after show. We reached out to different channels. We reached out to private whiskey groups, to retailers, and to we did training and we did whiskey tastings, and it was just like, and then we had a weekly cocktail show, which was fabulous, and we did so much. And of course, Richard will testify this. Nothing ever went wrong, did it, Richard? It was perfect. As you've been examining, you've been showing us tonight, everything always goes smoothly.
I think that the first thing that I remember going wrong was my microphone a moment ago. I think we were smooth sailing until then, weren't we?
Yeah, I believe entirely, yeah.
Well,
one of the things that always has impressed me is just people don't think that we just turn up and have a chat with these, but all the back end work that's gone in, myself doing a bit of it. We have Matt, we've got Connor doing the back end, the guys sitting on the chat and answering questions and things like that. It's the amount of work that's gone into it, and the improvement's been brilliant. We had Germany doing it, Sweden have done their own shows as well. So Mackmyra as a whole has really embraced this internationally. So my very first time doing it, I was on one show in the UK, and then I was directing the German and Swedish ones back to back for the first 3 nights back in March. So
real team effort, though. Real team. Everybody got together and just pitched in. We didn't really know what we were doing. I think we had an idea, but
yeah.
we were blindly going forward, and I think it worked. But occasionally things didn't quite work out because it's a live show, and you can't predict what's going to happen on live shows, as we've seen tonight. But we thought we'd just give you a little trailer of some of the things that didn't go quite right. It's quite amusing. Have a look at this.
It's nice to know. You've got a lot of whiskey behind you, John.
Not the too many lugging the bottles around, though.
No.
5 years old, elegant whiskey from 200-liter bourbon cask from Colorado.
And that's rock and roll, let me tell you. That we could, if we tried. I think
that was reversed, people.
We've got rid of Gareth finally. Oh no, he's back.
One drink, that's all it took. Chaos, look at chaos.
Hi, good evening everyone, and welcome to another Mackmyra tasting.
Have you kind of got used to drinking blended whiskey and Hi, good evening, and welcome everybody. Hello, Gareth, when you're ready. Ready to frighten. Oh, that looks good.
Not my blender.
So if you get divorced, we'll understand why.
Yeah.
Oh, she's nicking my pina colada.
We're doing different things. Is that your swimming pool emptying, Shelton?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm going to wipe my eyes after that. I'd be in tears. I
enjoyed watching that back.
I had a really big gnome beard. It reminded me of my gnome period I was going through.
I can't remember how long it's been seeing everyone in summer stuff. It's it's a bit chilly now, but some of those ones, it has been good just to see kind of what we can do with it, and we've got our tastings to do, but we can really kind of show off the skills of everyone and have fun. Really, it's we don't go along to festivals for complete seriousness and everything. It is about meeting people, having a chat, and that. And if anyone can ever find it, we had a show that kind of went a little wrong, which I think was one of my favourite things of the year.
Whole show of bloopers,
Yes. How you managed to get that pizza in at that exact moment, I'll never know.
The timing. But as you can imagine, after 60, 70 shows in the summer, we were pretty much burnt out. And when we came out of lockdown, we took a little break. We took stock. We wanted to take a position of where we were, what was working for us, what wasn't. And we decided to come back with this, Mackmyra Life, a little sort of pocket-sized lifestyle program you can put in your video every week in a week or two and get a little snippet of Mackmyra lifestyle. So Richard, we took these down and we created this new show for you. And now what's happening?
Now what's happening? Mackmyra Life. Yeah, the shows that we're on now. We after taking a little break over the summer, allow people a bit of time to sort of catch up because of how busy we all were, and allow people to have a bit of a break and a holiday. Came back and created this, the Mackmyra Life that we're watching now, which we're going to run, I think, until at least the end of the year. Have a review of what we're going to do going forwards. But I think some more of these, try and make them interesting for people. There's been so many different virtual tastings and different shows now over lockdown that we really do try every week to try and think of something interesting to have. I mean, Gareth, you work so hard on and Camille as well, our colleague who we saw in the bloopers reel there, who I will say just quickly is the one that put that blooper reel together. And I think he was very generous with himself because I only saw him turn up once until he was laughing at everyone else at the end. Yeah, so well done, Camille. But yeah, a few more of these, try and make them interesting, and the work that you put in with Joe to get Joe on, and so grateful for his time and for the meeting that he gave you guys and giving us that time, and hopefully people have found that worth watching, and want to see what we're going to do next.
As John said, these sort of things don't happen by accident. There's a lot of work that goes in behind it. There's Joe himself. Hi, Joe. Hello. Speak to you again real soon. Because we look to we're looking to launch and engage, but right now we're in the first launch of a new product under the new COVID conditions. So it's going to be interesting to sort of think, well, how have we done things differently? So John, with the launch of this, we're doing yak liquor. I think we've got the official thing. There we go, much better than mine.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Beautiful bottle. So really, how do we maybe launch or engage the market differently now that we're under under COVID conditions, shall we say?
Yeah.
We didn't do
this one was really interesting because we had all of this technology and distribution and everything going. Usually we just, we get all of people who know about us and things like that, and we get to just send them samples with a bit of postcard, and if they like it, they'll happily write something about us, and they get a bit of whiskey, and we get their honest opinions, which is brilliant. Especially, different markets in each one. But this one, we're actually able to run a tasting alongside it. And so, we sent out all the samples and things to people. And then we got Angela, who's the master blender for us, to actually come on and have a chat about it for 30 minutes, which is, back when I was just in whiskey clubs and things like that, and I'd have never seen anything like this. I didn't get invited to that sort of a thing, and people turn up, ask Angela questions, and we went through it. And it was just a nice 30-40 minute meeting, and people could ask any questions they wanted about us.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really unifying thing because it's a real broadcast opportunity. So I think you can reach a much wider audience with your important messages in a broadcast sense, as well as having individual little tastings as well. So
and it's leveled it as well. Of just, it doesn't matter if we have the CEO of some massive online sales or anything turn up, or just because we do like to support everyone at all the areas. Bloggers and people on YouTube turning up. It's just fantastic. Of just. And we see them all, and we chat with them, and it's turn up, have a drink, find out what we've done, and go from there.
Yeah, well, here it is, and I love it personally, but let's not think about what we tasted through it. Let's talk to an expert, because Joe was very kind enough to give us his opinion on this one when we were down in London. So if we've got a video of Joe giving us his thoughts on our latest release, let's run it now, please.
Right, my first look at this year's seasonal release, yak liquor from Mackmyra. I'm trying to pronounce everything properly, being a Swede and all that, or half svensk. Yak liquor apparently means happy hunting. And it's flavored. I think it's been aged in barrels which have had Swedish berry wine in them. And this is the flavor of my youth. Wild blueberries, vild blåbär, and lingonbär, which is a lingonberry, which I think the best, somebody once described it brilliantly as they're like cranberries, just better, which is true. Absolutely delicious. Right, let's try this. I love the color. It's got some depth to it. Maybe some sherry in there as well. I don't know. Maybe that's just the color of the wine. A little drop in there. Oh, it's always good to try new whiskey, isn't it? Very exciting. Oh. Okay. Oh. The first thing I get is whiskey. The first thing is the classic Mackmyra style. It's slightly rye-like, tangy. It's like dried orange. Then there's the faintest smell of the berries in the background, but they're kind of lingering, pardon the pun, lingoning. Actually, when you hold your nose away, very fruity. It's very fruity high up. There's a really nice complexity. There's some age there. I've noticed it tastes a little older than other Mackmyras I've tried, I think. Mostly Mackmyra though. It's the core flavour that I recognise from the Swedish distillery. Again, it's got that lovely tangy rye-like flavour that the malts from Mackmyra have. Wood complexity is lovely, very harmonised. Ooh, It's like a Victoria Falls of fruit coming in now. There's a little bit of ling on one side, a little bit of blueberry in there. Oh. Again, what I love about these whiskies from Sweden, they're always full-bodied, but they're fresh. I like the weight. They're 46%, is it? I think 46%. But very, very attractive, very balanced and fresh. Great acidity. While I'm talking, it's like somebody's leaked a bit of Lingon cordial into my mouth. I can feel the Lingon berries coming in and the blueberries. Oh, man. I want to pour some of this over some berries, like make a pudding out of it, like a summer pudding with this in it. Oh, nice. Delicious. Both my youth and my future. Delicious. Lovely. It's a bit like a Jerry Springer's final thought, if you like. I think we should be grateful coming out of the first spike. Who knows what's going to happen going forward, but be grateful what we have. It's been so nice to come back to my favourite place to hang out with my friends and eat some delicious fish. But you can do this at home, which is the best part. So if lockdown happens, think about what you have, not what you haven't. Think about communicating with people, because loneliness is a terrible thing and it causes problems for people. And this will end one day. Just remember that. It will end one day, and whiskey helps. Cheers.
Whiskey helps indeed. Whiskey helps. Very wise word. Very wise word from Joe. Whiskey helps. I think we can all get behind that one. But yeah, a pleasure to work with Joe in London, and the guys from Randall and Aubin were absolutely superb, accommodating us for our filming on that day. And we just had a great time meeting those guys. And really, that personal interaction, that's what we miss. In terms of a service-based industry and a product-based industry. But the product itself, I love yak liquor. It's beautiful. It's addictive for me. Richard, what's the recipe that Angela's put together for this one?
It's probably a good time for me to pour a drink. I was just sort of distracted there watching the video with Joe. I wish that I'd been asked to talk about this before Joe came on, because I don't know how I'm going to sort of follow that act. So I'll keep it to the technicals now, maybe, and we'll see. So. As with quite a few different Mackmyra releases, especially amongst the seasonal range, of which this is a part, a few different casks have gone into it. A few different cask types, I should say, have gone into its recipe. So we actually took 3 different types of casks and saturated them with a berry wine, basically with lingonberry and blueberry wine from a producer called Grittan, a natural wine producer from Sweden. People that we've worked with before and hold in quite high regard as well, I should say. So we took 3 different cask types, as in types of oak: American oak, Swedish oak, and ex-bourbon. All of those casks were actually between 30 and 100 litres in size as well. So, small casks, intense characteristics perhaps to give. The smaller the cask, the greater the liquid to wood ratio, and the more you're going to get out of it. So we took those 3 casks, saturated them with this wine, with this, what I think has turned out with a brilliant product. Beautiful. But then also on top of that, 2 different cask types have gone into it. We've had virgin and first fill American oak with our elegant recipe, and new and first fill Oloroso sherry as well. And some of these casks had peated whiskey in, so only a little bit. So if anyone's lucky enough to have it at home, if you think you can find a bit of smoke in there, you probably can, and you're probably right. That's it. So that in terms of the technical side, that's it. So 5 different cask types basically gone into it, 3 of which have been saturated with this awesome wine. So yeah.
I think the only other point of note is really the design of the bottle and the colours were really supported by the work of a very famous Swedish illustrator and painter called John Bauer, and he does a lot of sort of forestry and sort of like, there they are, is some of the images that he's done. So those colours were kind of like in the mind of putting the product packaging together to get the feeling of the sunlight at the top of the forest coming down into the browns, and then the green at the bottom of the bottle. So yeah, a bit of inspiration taken from that, and there we are. Richard does it live. Look at that.
So the picture that Connor just showed us then of the forest, yeah, the box here is meant to emulate that basically. That the picture there was the inspiration for the color scheme behind this, and you're meant to get, as you nose it, a feeling of being outdoors. Yak liquor, hunting happiness, going off into the woods, foraging for berries, or whether or not you're hunting for a waterfall to take a picture of, or whatever you're up to. You're supposed to, get a nose of this or a taste of this and feel as though you might be outside, walking in a Swedish forest or just the outdoors.
I think our official tagline is a saga told in flavour.
Oof.
Yeah, which was to capture the drink in one.
In previous releases, we'd be going out to shows, we'd put them in people's hands and tasting them. But here we do it online, and we give you a chance to taste it at online tastings. So join us for those at the future. But of course, we're privileged to be able to then offer you great discounts as well online. So, John, I think we've got something lined up for this one tonight. Have we a bit of a discount?
Yeah, so to coincide with Yak Liquor, we've got a discount, which is if you do purchase a bottle of Yak Liquor from Mackmyra.co.uk, and it's going along the screen here, if you use YAKT30, so YAKT 30, the next bottle you buy, you'll get 30% off, and that could be anything in any of our ranges. Not casks, unfortunately. If you want to get a cask, it doesn't include that, but we always have a nice little offer going on with those anyway. With distillery tours and things like that. But yeah, 30% off your next one bottle that you purchase with that. And so you can just go to the website, mackmyra.co.uk, and put that in and find it.
Yes, we're generous, folks. We're generous to a fault, giving you all these lovely discounts on it. So that's it, the commercial bit. So I don't know. Where are we now? I guess summary. We've hit this lockdown. We've had a kind of a break off of the summer. Things seem to be getting back to normal, but then it seems to be going a bit haywire again. It's going to be in the UK. I'm not sure in Italy. I think it's okay in Italy, but we look to be heading towards lockdown areas. We got 1, 2, 3 layers and things like that. So it's not looking great, but I think there are a lot of positives that have come out. For me personally, I've loved to re-engage with my local community, the people who walk by my house every day, my local shops and people, and that kind of community feel. It's been great to finally meet and have a real conversation with people rather than just good morning and good evening as you go to and from work, etc. For me, that's been a real sort of a real positive advantage. What about you guys? What's ticked your box?
Similar to that, I think I hear people asking other people how they are a bit more than they might have been before. Joe said in his video as well, people are listening now a bit. We appreciate that conversation more than we might have done before. And as COVID, sort of keeps us all apart and pushes us apart, an equal and opposite force bringing people closer together, I feel. We're all looking for something a bit more like that. Want to connect with people. We have to look for different ways to do it. This is a wonderful medium for it. The different platforms that have come up, Teams and Zoom and everything, in the way that they've made their way to the forefront of society now, and the job that they do, I think there's such a brilliant positive.
We're a resilient bunch, aren't we? We stick together. John, what about yourself?
Oh, well, from the business side of view, it's the thing which I've been enjoying so much is that everyone works together a lot. I know you've been doing some festivals online recently, and just the fact that, at festivals, it is, as you kind of expect, we do go off and chat with other people from other brands and try different things. But it continued, but also improved. But we even had people turning up from other brands to some of our tastings and getting invites and things. And the industry is working together. We are all in competition, but at the end of the day, it's like, we just want you to enjoy single malt whiskey. And hopefully it's going to be ours, and we appreciate the opportunity to tell you about it. But that's just been great of seeing other people. Like having Joe on now, that was really enjoyable, because it's been a long time since someone has taken me through their initial opinions of a whiskey. And that was so nice to actually hear someone who has such a trained palate of this to actually go through it. And, these experiences we wouldn't have in the past. And yeah, it's been so nice. But it is that kind of just finding the kind of, the community is coming out, and we're finding it everywhere really, and kind of appreciating things and being a little more kind of content and happy online, chatting with people, hopefully.
I totally agree, John. Against a fairly bleak backdrop, I think there are pockets of inspiration and things we can really sort of go for and make things happen and achieve things, and be a bit experimental and be a bit forward. But that sense of community physically, as I mentioned, but virtually, as you're mentioning, between people who are working in the same industries, etc. I think that's bonding us as a nation and as a world together. So I'm optimistic of the future. And speaking of the future, we'll drink to that, an empty glass.
I'll drink to that, I think.
Optimistic.
So,
we better wrap up now. We did promise a half an hour show, but we're running over just slightly. So
as always,
we can't shut up. Well, let's just wrap up. We've got a few things coming up. Richard, what have we got coming up from your side?
22nd, so next Thursday, we've got a core range tasting that people can take part in. So if we've got packs left, I know we sell them faster than we can make them, it seems. It's very popular.
We've got lots in now, so we should be all right. Yes.
Okay, well, in that case, mackmyra.co.uk, go and look for core range packs there. You can join the tasting. You'll find it easily on the website. So 7 p.m. next Thursday. Tune in. To YouTube again. We'll put everything on social media and the dates you need, etc. And we'll go through and talk to everyone about the whiskies we've got.
Cool.
Some of the whiskies.
John,
whiskies.
what's happening obviously on the web shop? What's happening there?
Ooh, what can I tell you about? I will say it's a busy 6 weeks coming up. We've got lots of stuff. Run up to Christmas. I can't say too much, unfortunately. But lots going on. If you're not on the mailing list, definitely sign up.
Collector's Corner, John, is probably something worth you telling people.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's currently been going on. So trying to explain it really quickly, the first releases we ever had commercially from Mackmyra, the Preludium series, we've managed to get hold of the very last ones. We had a rummage around at the back of the distillery and found 2, 3, 6 bottles of some. And they are on the website at the moment. They've been released every week. I think we're up to 4, Preludium number 4 this week. Last week was number 3, which was Angela's very first official release from Mackmyra. And so they really are nice collector's ones. We've gone through and checked them, made sure they're collectible in their quality and everything. But you can find out there. There's still 1 or 2 left of each of those first ones. And then from there, we've got a few more things coming up after that.
Exciting stuff that we can't talk about because we'll get shot.
Yes, it never sits still. But yes, Preludiums, they're going really well. If you're looking for something interesting, definitely pop over their mailing lists, and they release every Friday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, John. Okay, just leaves it for me to kind of wrap up. A great big thanks to, firstly, to Joe, spending a lot of time with us in London and giving his expert opinion. Really appreciate that, Joe. To the guys at Randall and Aubin, to Bruno, the manager there, sorting us out a lot of facilities there and really first-class service, of course. To you guys, thanks very much for joining this evening. For the guys on the back end, we've got Shane, we've got Camille there, and on the tech, we've got Connor, of course. So thanks to everybody for watching us tonight, and we'll see you on the next Mackmyra Life show. We'll say Skål to you. Skål, guys.
Skål.